Greetings to you from wherever you're watching us tonight. Thanks for joining us on the Friday edition of the show. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Well, it's 2-2 for Nigeria's senior men's basketball team, the D Tigers. Of course, they secured a win today over Tunisia at the FIBA Afrobasket Championship, currently going on in Angola. We will talk about that. We'll also talk about the English Premier League. Of course, is back in full swing. Liverpool and Bournemouth currently slugging it out. Ugo Ekitike has scored on, of course, his English Premier League debut for the Reds. We'll talk about all of that even as we move on the show. We will focus on the English Premier League. We'll also talk about teams doing things at the grassroots levels here in Nigeria. And, of course, we'll look at the African Nations Championship. That's the outlook of the show tonight. And hopefully we'll have a robust conversation on all of these things that we've talked about. We'll make brief stops in Angola, go to the English Premier League, we'll talk about things happening on the domestic scene, and of course we'll also talk about the African Nations Championship. That's the outlook of the show. Let me quickly introduce our guest in the Lagos studio tonight. Babajide Oreva joins us. Babajide, greetings to you. Thanks for finding time to be with us this lovely Friday evening.
Of course, thanks, Amy. It's a beautiful night, of course. Liverpool leading. Ekitike, you can't come to the Premier League and then you're already doing this. So he has made a very big announcement that now I am here in England and I'm ready to do things. It's on his debut, and then the opening goal of the season, the curtain raiser, is fantastic for him. Of course, it's going to be a memorable one for him. Also, we know that the Tigers, 2 wins in two, and then of course we expect them to go further, and hopefully they bring the title just like the ladies.
All right, hopefully they will emulate the ladies and bring in the title. All right, let's start on that note, talking about the senior men's basketball team of Nigeria, D Tigers, going in there, trying to replicate what they did 10 years ago, and of course they are making strides, taking strides towards achieving that goal. Let's quickly talk about what happened today, Babajide, against Tunisia. I guess maybe Cameroon has demystified Tunisia for me. I was, back-to-back defending champions, so I was a bit scared about the Tunisians. But they got the job done. That's all that matters.
Of course, Tunisians, they came in and then, they already lost to Cameroon, even as defending champions. But I wasn't scared. I know that the Tigers have all it takes to actually win. And they dominated from start to the finish. You needed to see the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. And of course, you need to give applause for Josh Okogie. Fantastic. 33 points in the game, and it shows how much he has been able to do for his club right there in the USA. He plays for Houston Rockets, and fantastic 33 points scoring for Nigeria, almost half of the goals today. It's a beautiful one for the Tigers.
All right, let's also bring in Bolara Olajide. He joins us all the way from Canada via Zoom. Bolara, thanks for finding time to be with us. Okay, all right. Femi Adefeso is with us. I mixed the name up. A friend of the house, Femi Adefeso, is with us now, and he joins us on the show. Greetings, Femi, in local parlance, long time no see. I'm used to having you here next to me, but anyway, it's good like this. Thanks for joining us.
Always the pleasure, Yemi. Yeah, it's been a minute. Always delighted to be on the show.
I want to get your thoughts. I don't know, because you follow basketball and I respect your views a lot. I thought the Tunisians were demystified by Cameroon. Do you think we had any reasons to be afraid of the back-to-back champions before this game?
Oh, yes. We had every reason to watch out for them. Being champs is not mean feat. They're also one of the perennial teams of the tournament. But I think they are going through a phase too, right about now. If you look at it, a lot of older players, new players in the fray, so it's like a transition period for them. I remember a couple of years ago, same thing with Angola, haven't dominated for a while. They kept on for too long with the same set of players, and then they aged, and, there was a difficulty in replacing them, and really they haven't bounced back from it. So yeah, there was definitely a reason, for us to be wary and not feel like it's a game that would win, like, Madagascar or, any other African team that we've played. So going into that game, I was particularly surprised about, how we took that game. I like this team. It's young, he has a very fine mix of experience and youth. Agaba has played before, Wamu has played before, Okoye has played before, Zan has played before. So you have those guys, helping the new kids on the block settle their nerves, and you can see the athleticism, you can see the speed. Kogie also to mention, who had a stellar performance on the night. All leading through. I'm excited about the way these Tigers are playing. It reminds me a lot about the US men's national team. Don't worry, I'm not, laying any parallels, but the energy at which they play, the flamboyance, the transition, on offense, and how we are, covering up for each other. It's really, really very good to see, and I think this team can actually, go a long way. How far they will go, it's too early to predict, but I definitely see them going the long haul.
All right, let me also ask you about this. Do you think this team has been tested? It's just 2-2, yes. Tunisia, a lot of us thought was a strong opposition. Now it's under their belt. Do you think they have been tested? And do you think Cameroon will provide that test?
I think the team has been tested, right? We've played a very young Madagascar side. You could see very athletic team, good transition basketball. Then we played a Tunisian side who is more of an half-court offense kind of team, who is well planned, well set to, they try to run the clock, they play, good ball movement basketball. If we tested both on man-on-man matchups, on zone defense. So I think we've had two different varieties of teams to tackle. And nothing comes bigger than Tunisia. They are the principalities of African basketball. Also, when it comes to North African basketball as well, they top the chase. So I think Tunisia gave us that test. Cameroon will be a different opposition. And we have this, even though we tend to have their number and to beat Cameroon all the time, in basketball, they still give us that fierce competition. And it's just based off of the West African grit. Now it's going to be a bit more physical, less finesse, more, energy. It's going to be a bit more brutal. So I hope there are no injury worries. I hope the coach too will be able to manage the tactics, because I know he will also be looking at, the next round of games and having to save legs. So I think the real test now will be more of man management from the coach's perspective, because we know what to expect from the Cameroonians. They are big, they are strong, they'll try to play from inside, they'll try to move the ball very fast, and we must be prepared for that. But I think the biggest test has been the Tunisian game, and I would not worry too much about the Cameroonians, because whether or not we are going to move through to the next round, but we just want to be sure that we don't also give, the Cameroonians an opportunity to run riot over us. So winning will be great. So we continue the unbeaten run, and the team is fully charged and motivated. But we also want to be careful as to going into the next round to have the complement of all our players in full fitness.
All right. So, Babaji, let me just quickly go across, because our viewers might be wondering what results they're talking about. But let me also get your thoughts before I go to the screen, just so that the viewers will see the results. Nigeria played, Cameroon played as well, and that third game would decide a lot of things. And just like Femi pointed out, now we've won 2 games. Is it important that we consolidate? Because your placing at the end also matters. So to you, is it important that we consolidate, or we shouldn't really lose too much sleep, just play our game and see what happens?
Okay, so of course, you've won the first 2 games, and then I know the psyche of the players were like, oh yes, we are going there, but the next game is always tough, and then you need to prepare for the game. You need to understand the Cameroonians, like my colleague said, very fantastic team, very strong as well, and then they can do lots of rebounds. So they need to be wary of the opposition. Of course, I know Coach Abdurrahman understands the task, and of course, now that they've won 2 games, you know that Nigerians won't expect anything less than victory. But I hope they can always do that and then give us the points.
All right, we hope that they can always do that and give us the point. That's the expectation. All right, Femi, let me also come to you while I wait to give our viewers the official confirmation of results. A lot of people are beginning to draw parallels between this team and that 2015 team that you followed. You were with them when they won. As someone who was with that team, who's looking at this one from a distance, are you able to draw any parallel? Are you seeing any similarities?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because that team was a team of men, right? But I know sports generally, I mean, look at the average age has dropped, right? So it's more youthful and a lot of strength. I think we had a bit more of guys who were a bit more experienced. Ike Diogo, Farouk Aminu, Olasheni Lawal. Those guys knew how to, step up when the pressure came up. So these guys haven't been tested yet in that regard. So I don't want to, be super excited. But the fact that they are young, they are hungry. A lot of these guys are just getting their first opportunity with the national team. Sort of gives me that impetus to give them some credit. We also didn't. So unlike that team in 2015, we actually lost to Tunisia, right? So it was interesting, how Tunisia was in our group, which is where the parallel and the similarities are. But they beat us, and Tunisia was really strong in that tournament. And I remember that, Senegal was perhaps the biggest game of the tournament in the semi-final, before we just ran riot against Angola in the final. So I think this team is building up well. We also built through that tournament game by game. We kept getting better. Then we had that loss. Then that loss was like the real fire that lit up, the entire room, and the guys were now up for business, and they, started to take everybody to the cleaners. So, I mean, if I thought we want to lose any game, right, maybe it's this one, because, but of course, I don't want us to lose any game. But I'm just saying, because that's just how much is on the shoulders of these guys. So the similarities is on the fact that, these guys are growing game by game. I mean, it was a better performance from the game against Madagascar, which was something similar that I saw. Even though we then ended up losing our third game to Tunisia in the last group game before, we took the likes of DR Congo and Senegal out in the semi-finals, and then taking out Angola in the final. I hope the likes of Joshua Koge, like I mentioned, Wamu Okoye, who was on that team, would probably remind them every day on what they did and how to keep themselves in check mentally and emotionally, as well as physically as well, to get that title, which I don't think is elusive. I think it's possible with this Cup of Titles.
All right, Femi, let me put you on the spot before I let you go. Do you think this team can win the title?
Yes, I believe so. I believe so on the merit of what I've seen so far, right, in the tournament overall. But I think the likes of South Sudan would be a great opposition. Okay. You can't rule out the Angolans. Angola always are a favorite in any basketball competition, male or female. You can't rule out the Senegalese guys. They're always dark horses. Every year they keep getting knocked out painfully. So I know that chip will be on their shoulder to make a statement. And there's a lot of investments now going into Senegalese basketball. They have a partnership with Derrick Rose, which is, just wearing, and a few other things. So I know Senegal, South Sudan look like the biggest opposition. Now that Tunisia is out of the way, in my own reckoning, those two guys will be, the ones our eyes should be on as the only teams that I feel, in my opinion, okay, including Angola, that can stop us. But can this team win? I think they have what it takes, both on the bench and on the floor.
All right, Femi Adefes, I want to thank you for your time, and hopefully, when we do this again, probably we'll be talking about a win for Nigeria's D Tigers right there in Angola. Let's quickly talk about the results that I wanted to talk about earlier. Friday's results: Nigeria beating Tunisia, of course, by 21 points. Cameroon, close game with Madagascar, 80-77. Then on Sunday, Nigeria will take on Cameroon. Of course, Tunisia will take on Madagascar. So we'll see where it goes from there. All right, let's switch gears now and leave basketball. Let's quickly go on to football. Babajide, let me just quickly get your thoughts quickly. You saw 45 minutes of the start of the Premier League. That was the much we could see before we came into the studio. So let me jokingly ask you, is it worth the wait?
Yeah, of course it is. You just feel the buzz. I was on the road throughout the first half, and I could see the buzz, the feeling everywhere that yes, football is back. And of course, it's better now that you have Ekitike doing the opener, so that you understand that now football is really back.
All right, football is back. All right, let's have join us on the show. I called him earlier, but of course, that was a little mix-up. But he's with us now. Bolara Olajide, all the way from Canada, joins us on the show. Greetings to you, Bolara. Thanks for finding time to be with us tonight.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Excitement in the air. The Premier League football is back.
All right, you've seen 45 minutes. Ugo Ekitike has got himself on the score sheets, grabbing the headlines. And just for laughs, a lot of people are still talking about the Newcastle striker joining them there. Do you think it would be an overkill?
Not necessarily an overkill. I was listening to the manager, Arne Slot, just before the start of the game. His press conference for this game. He said they still need one attacker because Darwin Núñez has gone to Saudi Arabia. Luis has gone to Bayern Munich. And of course, they lost Diogo Jota. So they still need that one more player to replace the outgoing players. But what the signing Ekitike has been for Liverpool, opening the scoring, and now Cody Gakpo has now scored the second goal for Liverpool. So Liverpool are looking good. I always say something about defending champions of a trophy. As long as they don't sell most of their title-winning players, then they should be doing exactly what they were doing last season. It's more like a continuation of what they were doing last season. And that's what we've seen so far in the game against Bournemouth. Liverpool are strong. They look stronger. And like you said, if they eventually get Isak, which I think will happen, then they will be contending 100% to win the Premier League again this year.
All right. Before we go on the break, I want to ask you, and I'm going to ask my guests in the studio as well, on the strength of the signings, on paper, who do you think had the best summer in terms of bringing in players? And on the strength of those signings, which team do you think has been made stronger?
Oh, this is a difficult one, a very difficult one. But I would like to split it between three teams, to be very honest. I think Liverpool they've done well in the transfer window. If they get Isak, then it's been a massive transfer window for them. Arsenal have also done incredibly well. We've all clamored for them to get a striker. Now they've gotten Gyökeres, and that's a big factor to the Arsenal side. I feel it's the missing piece. They needed a striker who is capable of scoring goal consistently. They've gotten that striker, and that's a big business for Arsenal. They didn't really lose some of their key players, and they've also strengthened in the midfield and in defense. And Manchester United as well. They did so badly last season, but getting Konya, Mbomo, and Šeško, these guys are capable of scoring 35 goals between them. So it's hard to say. But on paper, I have to say Manchester United on paper.
Wow. All right. Let me quickly, before we go on the break, let me quickly come to you, Babajide. You listened to that question.
Yeah, of course.
On the strength of those signings in the summer, who do you think came out tops?
Okay, so for me...
I shouldn't be saying that because that's subjective. But who do you think would be the strongest?
Okay, so for me, I think it's Liverpool. You needed to understand how the business is in the transfer market. They were signing like they were the underdogs, not even thinking about the fact that they are the defending champions, of course. And of course, if they could bring Isak in, I don't know what will happen in the Premier League. But anyway, Arsenal also good signing, Manchester United. But I still think Liverpool because 9 players, of course. And you also need to know that the space Diogo Jota has left means it's very big, and that's why they need to understand that we need to bring guys into this team and, of course, possibly defend the title.
All right. A lot of people are not talking about Manchester City and all the players they brought in. But we need to go on a break right about now. When we return from that break, there's still so much to talk about with the English Premier League, with the game currently going on. We'll do all of that when we return from this break. All right, welcome back. So we've been talking about the English Premier League. Let's just quickly take a look at fixtures for tomorrow and Sunday. Tomorrow being Saturday, the English Premier League, curtain raiser, of course, and the opener already on the way. Aston Villa will take on Newcastle United. Newcastle United, the issue of Isak, of course, surrounding that club, and it needs to be sorted. Brighton over Albion will take on Fulham. Sunderland will take on West Ham United. Tottenham will take on Burnley. Wolverhampton Wanderers will take on Manchester City. I still believe Manchester City have recruited well, but the blip last season, a lot of people don't seem to rate them as contenders. Then you have Chelsea, Crystal Palace, that will be on Sunday. Nottingham Forest up against Brentford. Manchester United and Arsenal. 15 years ago, this game, of course, will have been described as the biggest game on the planet. But of course, it will take a while before it gets back to that level. All right, Babajide, let's talk about Tottenham a little. So close yet so far. We're very close to, putting their hands on the Super Cup, and they let it slip. I know we're familiar with the phrase, different season, same Arsenal. Can we say that of Tottenham, or something will change this season?
In fact, I was surprised they couldn't win it. 2 goals, and then in the last 5 minutes, you just drop it. But however, this is still the Premier League. They are one of the biggest teams in England, and I hope they can actually transform, replicate what they did last season in Europe. If they could actually do it in the Premier League this season. Of course, I expect them to be one of the title contenders this season.
Tottenham.
Yes, of course. And then for the Arsenal-Manchester United game, you said, it could have been the biggest. This is it. Arsenal-Manchester is more of a derby, irrespective of how, wherever the rivalry, it's not just the history, it's not just the players alone, the fans, the club, the owners and everything. So Arsenal-Man U is still the biggest game in the Premier League for this weekend as far as I'm concerned. And I hope to see a very beautiful game on Sunday.
All right, let me go to Bolara real quickly. I want you to do this for me, 2 in 1. Newcastle United and Manchester City, 2 things I want you to talk about. Of course, the future of Alexander Isak. We'll listen to Eddie Howe in a bit after your comments. A lot of people feel Newcastle probably will be the loser at the end of it if Isak goes, because it doesn't look that they will be able to get a top striker to replace him if indeed it goes, and a lot of people have accused them of being slow in the market. And I also want you to talk about Manchester City. Do you agree with me that they've recruited well? So why is it that a lot of people are ignoring Manchester City when they're talking about title contenders?
Well, let me start with Newcastle United. I really sympathize with Eddie Howe. It's a very difficult position to be as a manager. The Premier League has started today, and there's still a doubt about your top scorer. Part, or maybe the reason why Newcastle United had a good season last time, and why they are playing Champions League football this year. But you can't even keep him, because the situation, as far as I'm concerned, has not been properly managed by Newcastle United Football Club. You don't want to be dealing with this at the start of the season. One thing is clear. Isak wants to leave Newcastle United. And I remember Pep Guardiola in one of his comments, he's always saying, if a player doesn't want to stay at the club, get him out as soon as possible, because it's just going to cause distractions. But many people will still say he has 3 years left on his contract. The club should decide when he wants to go. But it doesn't work that way in modern football. The players have all the power. When they want to go, they go. So you have to face this reality that this player wants to leave, and you have to make provisions to replace him and sell him, get good money, and keep it going. Now they're leaving it late. As of today, Liverpool have already put in another bid to get Isak. So I think it's a problem they need to sort as soon as possible. It's destabilizing It makes the team to lose focus, and they have a big game coming up against Aston Villa. So I would say Eddie Howe wouldn't want to be in this situation, but the club should have acted faster and, get a replacement. There's still a story about them wanting Johan Wissa from Brentford. These are the things they should do, and it still didn't help that some of the strikers that they targeted didn't want to join them.
All right, let me just quickly get your thoughts on Manchester City, which was where I was going initially. You don't seem to rank them. You didn't talk about them the way. I mean, are we forgetting that these guys were back-to-back champions? They had a blip, and we're judging them by their very own high standards. But I still feel they've recruited well. And they didn't even get a mention in the list of teams that you felt recruited well.
Well, I actually rate Manchester City, actually. I just feel the teams I mentioned made better recruitments. It's not like they didn't make recruitments, but the teams that I mentioned earlier, the United, Arsenal, and Liverpool, it's clear to see that they made some outstanding signings. But Manchester City will still be competing for the Premier League. I just don't see them winning it at the end of the season. You mentioned some of the players they've signed. They signed Van Diaz, who has done well in pre-season. They've also, in a way, they look stabilized in defense because they have so many options. Aït-Nouri is still there. Gvardiol is there. Ruben Diaz, to mention a few. Even though there's a story today that Gvardiol is not fit to play their opening game at Wolves. But I think part of why people don't also, it's not like they don't rate them. Why they're not tipping them to win the Premier League is because some of the players who made them strong in those years of dominance under Pep Guardiola are no longer there. Kevin De Bruyne has left. Rodri is still out injured. He was back in training, but now today he's not available to play the first game. Kovacic is unavailable, but they still have Haaland. Haaland is a good goal scorer. He will score goals when the chances come. But the problem is, who are the players to create these chances for Haaland? They got Cherki from Lyon. They still have Dogu. And I'm happy that Oscar Bob is back playing. He's another fantastic player for Manchester City. But this quality cannot be compared to what they used to have in Kevin De Bruyne and Rodri. So they will compete, but I just don't see them as strong as they used to be in the last few years. Pep Guardiola is still the best manager in the world as we speak, based on what he's been able to achieve in the last 10 years, even from his Barcelona days up until Manchester City. So that should count for something, and that's another factor for Manchester City. But will they be good enough to win the Premier League? Liverpool and Arsenal have better chances of doing that than Manchester City, in my humble opinion.
All right. That is taken. All right, let's listen to the Newcastle manager, Eddie Howe. And of course, immediately after him, we'll listen to the man we just talked about, Pep Guardiola, manager of Manchester City.
Yeah, I've had a great relationship with Alex. I think you need to have that partnership with every player. I take my part of that relationship really, really importantly. I think in the respect that I have to work really closely with the player to his benefit, to try and improve them, to try and help them, to try and educate them, sometimes console them. You know, there's so many different emotions that players go through, and I always want to be there for them in every way. And me and Alex have enjoyed a great relationship. I don't think he'd have done as well as he's done without that, and without his teammates, and without the supporters and the backing of the whole football club. So he recognises that as well. He's a highly intelligent person, and he knows he wouldn't have had the success here without everybody connected with Newcastle. So this is a different moment for him and for us, and we're working through that together.
We are ready. We make a short pre-season, but really good one, and ready to enjoy the good moments and bounce back as soon as possible the bad ones. No, Kovacic is not ready. Josko not ready. The other ones are ready. We travel, and tomorrow we make the selection. Rod as well is traveling, and Phil as well, and because have been 1 week, 10 days stop, and tomorrow we'll decide. I cannot assure you, but the signals is, we'll be better. But maybe it can be worse. Who never knows? But I think it will be better. No, tactics will be the quality of the players, not much. And I would say that, be fit is really important. Was the main reason. There was a few reasons last season, but the main reason is we were not fit, and I think we are. Yeah, we have a little bit. But I think many clubs, it happened the same, right? So, we should. But it's difficult because I love all of them. I like all of them, and they like to be here. And the situation is not easy, but they know it. So we have a lot of players, and tomorrow will be 2 players in the tribune. And if the players come back, there will be 4 or 5 at home. And of course, it's not the ideal situation. But at the same time, we have a lot of games. Every season is more and more, and you have to have another squad to compete in every single game. Rodri is so soon to coming back, but come back. Important is his knee is perfect, but come back against Juventus and after having injured for 6 weeks in his leg, and to try to avoid that, and now he needs to bring minutes in the training session, especially a few minutes when it's possible in the games, because we want what we want, and we spoke a lot with him, is not come back, step back, come back.
All right, you listen to Eddie Howe, and of course Pep Guardiola giving updates on his players. Babaji, they're still talking about the English Premier League. Let me ask you about Chelsea. Another thing we didn't seem to mention, how far do you think they can go this season? I cannot say whether or not they've recruited well, but they seem to have a large squad.
Okay, so like their fans will say, we are the world champions. So I feel Chelsea this season, you can't rule them out. You saw them at the Club World Cup, and then you know that if they could translate this in the Premier League, they will be a team to beat. But sometimes there's something about that club that somehow when you need them to beat the Crystal Palaces, the Brentfords, and then they drop the points. But I can tell you, Chelsea are one of the teams to actually win this season. But I hope they can actually replicate that form at the Club World Cup in England.
All right, they have to be consistent. I guess what Babajide is saying, and I do agree. They do win some of these matches here and there, but when you need them to be consistent is where the issue is. Are they contenders? Some might argue, but let's see. All right, let me go to Bolara. Probably this is going to be your parting shot. We don't want to keep you for too long. Earlier, you heard me say that in years gone by, Arsenal, Manchester United, it's a game everybody would love to see. It's probably, arguably, biggest game on the planet for some. But down the years, something has changed. So, looking at this game on Sunday, who do you think wants it more? And, just trying to look into the future, do you think that a game between Arsenal and Manchester United will get to the levels it used to be maybe in a year or two?
Well, I think it's still a big game. Arsenal, United, whether at Old Trafford or the Emirates, it's still a big match. The only difference is that one is looking to win the Premier League, one is looking to make it back into the top 10. But when it comes to the followership of the clubs, the fans, the excitement around the game, it's still huge for the two teams. Arsenal are definitely a better team. And they are expected to win at Old Trafford if you consider or put into consideration what United did last season. You can talk about the friendly matches and stuff, but the real games are about to start. And Arsenal know what they have to do. They've actually had a good record against Manchester United in the last 4 years, especially at the Emirates. But this is an inspired Arsenal side who feel they can go one step further from last season. And if they really want to lay a marker that they are ready to win the Premier League, they have to win games like this against Manchester United. United have strengthened. They strengthened up front. They have a new attack, and that should also mean something. So Arsenal would not they won't want to be tested or caught off guard or underestimating Manchester United. And you know how Old Trafford rises for games like this. So it's still big. If Arsenal wins, not so surprising. But if Manchester United win, they may just feel, okay, we're back to the Manchester United that we used to be. Now let's take it further. So I do not agree with you. This is still a big game. It's just that intentions from the two teams are different this time.
All right. Points noted and taken. All right, Bolara Olajide, I want to thank you for your time on the show today. Hopefully we'll do this again some other time.
Definitely. Thank you.
All right. So speaking with Bolara Olajide there all the way from Canada. All right, let's talk about something we were talking about before we came on to the studio, grassroots sports. Yesterday, I read about a Nigerian club from Bauchi State went an academy going on a UK tour, and it grabbed the headlines because it played against a Liverpool under-20 side preparing for their own season. We're talking about One Touch FC. And it's surprising. They went on that UK trip. A lot of young players in that team. And everywhere in the United Kingdom, they're talking about a Nigerian team, not widely known by everybody, coming all the way, even though they lost 4-0, it must be said. But it's remarkable that an academy can have such great ideas in their plan.
You needed to see the statement from Liverpool themselves. They know that these guys, they are a very promising team. And then it was a good test for the Liverpool under-21. But funny enough, the Liverpool side also has a number of Nigerian players, so it was more of a friendly affair. You see the One Touch FC players. I hope they can, by the time next season, the end of this season, and I hope by next season, they will also go for a better pre-season as well, and then keep the Nigerian flag flying.
All right. It was impressive to see that club, One Touch FC, grab the headlines for the right season. They played a lot of clubs in that on that tour. And it was all wins. They played in Leicester, played the French side, played Boreham Wood. All of those teams, and these were boys picked randomly. And, the club has the intention to change the story, change the lives of a lot of these youngsters through football. And I think they're already achieving that.
Yes, and of course, you need to give kudos to the management to have that vision to go to England and to play Liverpool under 21. It means that you are practically playing the next level, the next team to the Liverpool senior team. It's a good one, but I hope... I wish they could blow the trumpet more than how they've done. I remember somebody was saying, the Chan players are currently playing for the Nigeria Super Eagles B. If you had some of these players in the squad, possibly we might be having a better result, better performance at the tournament.
All right. So we'll leave it at that, and hopefully we'll give you more if we have it. Let's wrap things up with the African Nations Championship. The results so far from Nigeria has left a sore taste in our mouth, but the competition is still on. So let's quickly talk about it. Let me get your thoughts quickly before we talk about the other results. How disappointed are you with the Super Eagles?
Okay, so for me, if you remember last time I came here, I was saying I didn't like the fact that it was Eric Shell that led the team. I felt Ogumodede showed. Would
it have made any difference?
Yes, it would, because there are coaches that actually know these players. We have Salisu Yusuf that knows it. You could even take Ilechukwu. I'm not saying with Shell, but I feel the task ahead for the coach that had in less than a month we are playing the qualifiers, and I can tell you
this was
by this time next month we will actually know if we are going to the World Cup or not. So but however, they still have a game to go, even though they will not go to the next stage. But I hope they can play for pride when they play their Congo. All
right, we hope they can play for pride. Let's take a look at today's result. We're getting confusing signals. A lot of people say, is it Nigeria playing? No, it wasn't Nigeria, Republic of Niger. Some online media outlets also confused a lot of people by saying it was Nigeria. It wasn't Nigeria, it was Niger. So Guinea and Algeria, it was 1-1. And of course, Niger and South Africa ended goalless. Let's quickly take a look at the matches to be played tomorrow and on Sunday. Burkina Faso will be up against Madagascar. Central African Republic up against Tanzania. On Sunday, DR Congo will be up against Morocco, the Atlas Lions. And of course, Zambia will be up against Kenya. These are the matches to be played this weekend. Babajide, I want to also get your thoughts. Which teams have impressed you so far?
Okay, so for me, of course, you expect DR Congo. They have the TP Mazembe, so you know that on the continent. But the team that I have actually been surprised is Kenya. Beating Morocco. I have friends in Kenya, some of my colleagues, and then I remember I joked with them even before the tournament, but they've been fantastic. And then the president has been doing well for the players. I remember the first game, they promised each player handed them as much as $22,000 each, and then he has also promised them if you get to the next level, then so it's big for maybe because Nigeria, we are a powerhouse in Africa, so we are not taking it as big as. But I can tell you, in other parts of the continent, it's a very, very big tournament. In Kenya, it's more of like more or less the African Nations Cup.
So you've seen 2 sets of matches, 2 rounds of matches from everybody. Your picks for the title.
Okay, so
as we go.
At this point, I wasn't rating Kenya, but I think now because of
they've gotten your attention.
Yes, and then I think I'm a little bit disappointed in South Africa, though I expect, but you won't because of their league. I know the PSL is a very huge league, and I expect them to actually go far in the tournament. But hopefully, let's just see, and then we enjoy the African.
So Babajide is going with Kenya and South Africa. I've lost a taste for the tournament maybe because of what happened to the Chan Eagles, but we'll see. We'll keep monitoring. Nigeria is out, but of course we'll still have one more game to play. We'll be here to report what happens in that one. Babajide, I think that's a safe place to let it land on the show tonight. I want to thank you for your time. Hopefully we'll do this again some other time.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
All right, that's the show today. We do hope that you've enjoyed everything. It's the last one for the week. You'll see us again next week. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you again next week. I'm Yemi Adebayo. Bye-bye now.